Hi guys, time for another pick a card reading. This one's going to be a no contact love reading, and there are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the rose quartz. Group 2 is the clear quartz. And group 3 is the blue calcite. There are timestamps in the description box of the video if you want to jump ahead, and I'll see everyone in a minute for group 1. Hi group 1. You chose the rose quartz. So let's start by taking a look at the person on your mind that you are in a no contact situation with. What are their thoughts and feelings about you right now? Okay, so we have the Seven of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, and the King of Swords. So it feels like this person has kind of discovered, maybe the hard way, that the grass really wasn't greener outside of this connection. It feels at this particular point in time this person is single, so they might have just chosen not to pursue you, stepped away from the connection. Some of them may have been like, I need to find myself, I need to figure things out, this just isn't the right time, I don't think I can give you what you're looking for. And that excuse held some weight with them for a while, but now they're in a position of feeling like, okay, I got what I wanted in that sense, in terms of not continuing forth with you. But then there's a sense that this person is also kind of looking around and is coming to realize that you brought a certain degree of honesty, clarity, light to their life, that now that you are no longer an active part of their reality, it's like the world around them is a little less bright. It feels like this person recently may have had some sort of milestone or an accomplishment, and there was like a reflexive urge to kind of like tell you about their good news. And then reality came crashing down very hard, that like, oh, we're not in contact with one another. And it feels like that might have been a very good opportunity for them to sort of reinitiate contact. But it feels it's also served as, like with this King of Swords, sort of a moment of clarity or illumination. Kind of like, yeah, life will go on. They may meet somebody else, you may meet somebody else, but they have, again, recently been kind of brought into this awareness of sort of a unique perspective that you brought to their life, ways in which in the past they might have like taken you for granted, or this is almost the energy of someone that's like, I didn't think I would miss you as much as I do at this point, or I didn't think I'd still miss you. So this could have also been somebody that like buried themselves in work, other distractions. They've tried very hard, they put a lot of energy into like not thinking about you, not thinking about the past, and now they're in this position of kind of relaxing off of that stance. And there's a sense that this person's questioning, like, why did I push away so hard? Why have I allowed this kind of like distance of silence? So this may be, even with this King of Swords, somebody you've been in no contact with for like a long-term sense, like at least a year, maybe several years. And there's this energy of kind of like, okay, I've had this impulse or this urge to sort of reach out, but once I open that door, like, am I prepared for everything that it would sort of bring with it? Because this person also feels that they couldn't just sort of like dip back into your life casually. Maybe you've set some sort of ultimatum, like, I need clarity, I can't have you coming in and out. It's either like you're coming or going. And the choice might have been like, this could have been somebody that you've been through multiple no contact periods with, or like on and off kind of energy, and it's sort of like enough is enough, like the last time was the last time. And so this is somebody, again, that is kind of like, it feels like they're currently single with the Seven of Pentacles. They've achieved something, or they've kind of like settled into some kind of new reality, some sort of like new chapter that they've created for themselves, or they're starting to look towards the future as far as like what next. And they're having these kind of thoughts about, I wish that you were still a part of my life, even in like a casual sense, because I'd love your input about things, I'd love your opinion about things, I'd love to be able to share certain things with you. Or they're in kind of a place right now of feeling a little more secure and stable within themselves, that they're coming to kind of understand they might have like overreacted by just disappearing out of your life totally, or there's again also the sense of like the grass really wasn't greener on the other side of life beyond this situation. Even if there's something where, you know, your connection was very undefined, it was very nebulous before, it was very kind of like on again, off again, a lot of unstated potential or unactualized potential between the two of you. This person's sitting in the energy of regret, kind of like, I wish it hadn't played out this way, but also very aware that they're the one that sort of played their hand in a particular fashion, and it has now sort of yielded this experience of almost like with both of these swords cards here, it's like a sharp awareness that they have of kind of, again, like they may meet other people, you may meet other people, life will go on, or it has gone on for the two of you in different ways, but there is a sense of feeling that they've kind of like left something or someone important behind as they've taken steps forward in their life in a particular direction, and it is very clear to this person, like they're not in denial of this in any way, and they might have been in denial of it before or avoided it before, but they're no longer in denial that, you know, you did bring something very positive, very honest, very kind of like high integrity or very good to their life. Not that they don't have like high integrity or good people or positive people around them currently, but it's almost like they're coming to understand that you're an irreplaceable person in their reality. So let's take a look at some of the challenges or fears or obstacles that they're dealing with right now. Okay, we've got life purpose and Mother Earth. Yeah, so this may be somebody, this is kind of the energy of the world, like something has come full circle, something has come to a place of completion for them in their life. They've either achieved like a major goal or dream, or with this energy of life purpose, they're starting to kind of question, do I really like this life I have created for myself? I'm forced to sleep in the bed that I made, but is this really the right circumstance for me? This doesn't feel like anyone that at this point in time is seeing anyone else, or they're kind of like, ooh, I don't like this third party that I'm with, or I don't like this other relationship that I'm in. This is something that might be kind of at the point of not really a midlife crisis, but just sort of like a check-in with themselves. They're kind of like looking around, maybe even other people around them are kind of having these sort of milestone events or moments, things that it's almost like because of choices in the past, maybe even a decision not to pursue a connection with you or build with you has kind of set them back as far as achieving those things, or it's made it so that those things just never materialized for that person. That can have to do with like even starting a family, getting married. You know, they may be looking around at people in their life or people close to them like, hey, these people have kind of settled into a routine that, you know, there may even be struggle involved, but it makes them happy. They may even be seeing people that have kind of like worked through some ups and downs with a partner, you know, and the partnership is still going strong. And so it feels like it's making this person question, like, I don't feel that I necessarily made the best decision in the past, because again, it kind of ties back into this energy where this person is seeing you were a light in their life, and their life is a little more dim at this particular point in time. Yeah, they might have good things going on, but it's almost like your presence added something to the joyous measure of like ordinary moments that other people that they've met or other people that are still in their life, they just don't contribute that in the same sort of way. This person's definitely feeling like they missed out on an opportunity for more than just kind of like a cozy little relationship with you. Again, this can tie into sort of regrets about like, we could have started a family, we could have gotten married. They're starting to maybe look back on the connection, like you would have had all those really like great qualities to be like a solid partner, like a good parent, or maybe even like a step parent if this person has kids from another relationship. They're kind of seeing that, you know, maybe they've even kind of like reached a place where they could have pushed you away in the past because they could have been like, I'm trying to co-parent with somebody, or I'm trying to kind of work out the logistics of that. I don't want to confuse my kids or, you know, your kids or something like that. And it's almost like this person is really recognizing in some sort of way, I didn't need to take it to the extreme of like shoving you completely out of my life or closing the situation out entirely, because you do actually have those qualities as a person that would have added something very beautiful beautiful, to the nature of kind of like a blended family or some kind of adjusted reality compared to like the plan they had had in place or the momentum that their life had kind of taken on when they met you through the course of your interactions, and even things that have happened since you've gone into that no contact period. This is also, though, feels again like somebody that might be kind of asking bigger questions about their life at this point. Kind of like, what's my purpose? Do I really like what I'm doing? They may be at a point where it's kind of like other opportunities could be opening up for them professionally, or they're seeking out other opportunities professionally that could take them in different directions, may require or involve or even allow them like a total change in lifestyle. And if like career, job, anything as far as that was concerned was like an obstacle between the two of you in the past, it's almost like, well, I'm at a point now where I might be changing a lot of those things. And so what had been kind of a deal breaker or had created like confusion or difficulty between us and how I was able to prioritize or show up in this connection in the past, it's about to be a non-issue, or I'm trying to kind of like make that a non-issue in my life. And that might have been something as well that's kind of brought this clarity to them. Like, I pushed you away for a situation like in my life, or like a way of living or a way of being that I'm not really happy in that anymore, or it's coming full circle. I'm looking to do something else with my life or kind of step away from that, or it's coming to a conclusion. And so it's brought their attention not just to kind of like what next or what now for themselves, but also the sense of like an opportunity that was missed or like left behind or wasn't pursued with you in the past, that they're now starting to see they didn't need to, again, kind of like cut this off as extremely as has happened. So let's take a look at their potential actions towards you. Okay, we have harmony, dreams, and study. Okay, so this rainbow here on this study card is like 10 of Cups energy. It feels like this person may passively kind of manifest an opportunity to see you, to interact with you, to like run into you face to face. That may be something that is kind of like an opportunity to begin again, to pick up where you left off from. Something where it feels like they continue to sort of fixate on this kind of awareness that they have at this point in time, that it's like there's been an urge recently to share some sort of good news with you, or they're becoming very aware of kind of your presence in their life in the past, and something that has like happened, or like a transitional period that they're going through or they're creating for themselves, that they're starting to kind of recognize like, this next chapter of my life, you're the type of person that I would want in that reality, I would want in that existence. You're somebody that added something beautiful to the measure of my life in the past, and moving forward as things are changing, or even their perspective on things is changing, even if like materially there isn't a whole lot different that's going on, it's just like their perspective is changing. This is somebody that it feels like is starting to kind of scratch beyond the surface of what they had felt was a very like black and white energy, a very yes no energy of the past. They couldn't kind of meet your demands or ultimatums that you'd given, or they allowed a lot of time to pass by within this silence. But now they're starting to see maybe there's a gray area within there. Maybe there's a way to compromise. Maybe there's a way for them to kind of like put aside their pride and ego and create contact with you. And it feels like this is somebody that may start to kind of like warm up to the idea of that in some sort of way. Like what had been like a hard and fast no, or kind of like, well, that's done, that's over with, let me just kind of ignore the situation, put it out of my mind, just sort of focus on matters at hand. It's almost like that perspective, that sort of rigid stance has been shattered in some sort of way. They're starting to look at a lot of different things differently. And with that is kind of opening up this possibility of maybe it's not too late between the two of you. Maybe it's possible, like for this version of them, like who they are now or who they are becoming, to connect with you better than how they were in the past, or maybe even things you had going on in your life, that it was just kind of like there was potential, but it feels like there was friction from both sides. Maybe internal, could have been external things, that this person is almost kind of thinking about the possibilities of what if more strongly than they have in a while. And again, this may be something with this energy of dreams, that you could kind of pick up on this. Like, this person could start showing up in dreams. You might get a lot of signs and synchronicities about them, feel their energy around, as kind of an indicator that their internal sight is focused on you. You know, even if they're not speaking, if they're not taking actions in the material world, that kind of inner world in some sort of way, they're shining a light on things that have happened between the two of you in the past, ways in which they might even be very surprised that they still feel some kind of way about you. So this could be something where this person's trying to like reconcile that within themselves. What does that mean? And if that's a reality, what are the possibilities or options open to me at this point in time to potentially make change, do something different, or at least find out one way or another, is there a possibility to rebuild or move forward from what has happened? And so it feels like they're kind of taking a passive approach to things. This isn't somebody who's like, at this point in time, is like, let me build my courage and reach out and talk to them. But if it's possible, like, for you to see this person, like, physically interact with them, it's very likely that over the next several months that this person is going to be like thinking about this enough, or even kind of like them dreaming of you, which kind of then brings that attention, that focus, like, okay, the circumstance between the two of us in the past, there's been silence for a period of time, but the feelings that I had kind of stuffed away or I defined as one thing, I'm not sure that I feel that that's that anymore. Like, maybe this is something that we can still like repair this, we can build beyond this point. And so all of that kind of like internal attention, it feels like it's very likely for a lot of people you'll have like a chance encounter or a chance meeting with this person. And if that's the case, it feels like they will not hesitate to approach you very quickly, very enthusiastically. It might even be something where it's like you're at a party or at a gathering, you're in like a social setting, you turn around and there they are, they turn around and there you are, and it's kind of that awkward moment of like, ooh, here's that person. And instead of like running away or, you know, ignoring you, it's kind of like they speak, they say something. That's likely for a lot of you, or again, like physical contact with this person would be possible. For those of you where there's like distance, or they'd have to like seek you out or like reach out to you virtually, it feels like then this is something where there's a possibility of communication or reconnection, but that's going to be the sort of thing where that kind of internal energy is going to have to start churning within them. They're in the phase of looking at the possibility of what if, or they're like entering into that what if it's not too late, what if I was too extreme in my approach to this, what if, you know, the fact that I still feel some kind of way after everything that's happened, what if that means that there's still a possibility for something good to happen between the two of us, in which case that might be the beginning of like a longer journey then into this experience of like manifesting within themselves courage to put that pride and ego aside, to seek you out, you know, to reach out, to like make that contact. And so that may be something a little bit further along the timeline. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know. Okay, and we have, even though I don't show it, I'm sorry for how things went between us. Yeah, so this person's definitely, again, seeing that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. There are regrets. It feels like for most people that are resonating with this, it's regrets that so much time has passed since they've made an effort to contact you, or you know, that kind of like when the no contact situation happened, it's like they almost just kind of tried to shove the experience of you out of their mind. They kind of like pushed it away. They turned their focus and attention towards other things. For most of you, that wasn't like a relationship. It was just like, let me busy myself with other things. Let me pour my attention into work. Let me just kind of like ignore everything that in the past reminded me of you. And so there's some regret that that was like the approach that they took. We also have songs are speaking to me. Okay, so this is kind of drawing back to that energy here with harmony and this guy with this little violin. You know, this can be somebody that is even starting to like hear songs that remind them of you, songs that you've shared, maybe like popping up like on their playlist, or, you know, something that they're listening to. This may be somebody, again, that is trying to kind of like think, how do we create harmony between the two of us? How do we sort of take this energy of disappointment or disconnect, and is there something to work with? This is kind of like an unfinished symphony kind of energy, and is there some way to kind of build beyond what has happened? We also have, I am more affected than you know. Yeah, so despite the silence, it feels like this person has had some kind of breakthrough where they were actually very surprised at something that reminded them of you, or like something where there was almost, again, like this reflex or this impulse, like wanting to share something with you, wanting to tell you about something, wanting to kind of like show you their accomplishments or who they've become. And then it was like it hit them like a ton of bricks. Oh, we don't talk anymore. We're not in each other's lives, and it's been that way for a while. And so there's an opportunity to kind of reach out and get that conversation started again. But this is also somebody that knows, and maybe you told this person, you're like, I need you to come correct or don't come at all. So that ultimatum, for those of you that gave this person an ultimatum, they know that that is still in place. And so again, this can be somebody that, if it's possible to run into them in person, this energy of like focus upon this situation and you now, maybe something that just kind of, you know, unconsciously they manifest an opportunity, and it's kind of like, okay, now you have the opportunity to speak your piece and do something about this. But for those of you where they would have to like go to some kind of effort, go to some kind of length to like seek you out on social media, you know, call, email, reach out, something like that, then it may be a little bit more of a longer process of kind of like, okay, I can't shut this out of my mind anymore. So what do? Now I'm having to kind of like manifest the courage, the strength to kind of just say something, to break the ice, to speak. So let's get some initials to close out this reading. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. And we've got E, R, I, A, Y, R, L, M, I, X, J, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button and get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the clear quartz. So let's start by taking a look at the person on your mind that you are in a no contact situation with. What are their thoughts and feelings about you right now? Okay, we got the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Cups, and the Page of Wands. Okay, so with all of these being court cards, it feels like this person has evolved or advanced, feels like mostly emotionally, from who they were when you were last dealing with them. This is somebody who has been inspired by you and realized on some level that what they were offering in the past, what they were prepared to offer, or even ways in which they had, you know, kind of become very hesitant or afraid when you were providing them with like honesty or efforts towards romance, it served as kind of an illuminating moment for them, that it was like they weren't necessarily on your level on an emotional way. They had some kind of like work to do inside. They had some fears that they needed to confront. This is somebody, it feels like, that if they could tell you something right now, it would be, don't mistake my silence for disinterest. This isn't something that somebody that has just been doing like nothing during this period of time where you've been in disconnect with one another. This has been somebody that has been working hard with this Page of Wands to kind of pick apart the ins and outs and the reasons of why they felt such a strong connection with you. Maybe initially or at a certain point in time, there was kind of like a breakthrough of like, okay, I think I'm catching feelings for this person. I think I'm falling in love. I think there's a lot of potential between the two of us for something serious and in a long-term sense. Like everything inside of them was screaming that you were like a walking green flag, you know, that this is kind of like, let me run towards somebody like this because I think you'd be really good for me. You bring something very beautiful into my life. Or, you know, kind of the experience between the two of you, it was speaking to kind of like bliss and satisfaction that they'd been seeking. But there was also an energy with them that was filled with the sense of like panic or terror. Like they became very self-conscious and kind of like, okay, if I take a step forward, what if I'm not everything that you thought I would be? What if I can't live up to your expectations? And so this person has been like doing some internal work, doing some reflecting, some meditating. Maybe even, it feels like for a lot of people, they may have been kind of like looking into self-help. It doesn't feel like this is anyone that would have like gone to therapy, but it may be something where they're just kind of like thinking outside of the box, maybe even to do some like address some inner child wounds, or kind of like look at relationships in the past that they had and sort of like, okay, how have disappointments or even like an early heartbreak, a first heartbreak, how is that still affecting me? Why is that holding me back? What can I do to kind of shine a light on old wounds, pick apart that kind of aspect of my life that I don't like to look at, or things that are kind of done and buried in the past that in some sort of way they've recognized have left like a permanent mark on them, or in some way kind of affect them or affected them more than they still realized. And all of that came to the surface when they were last interacting with you. This is somebody that almost feels like they might have done the right thing or the responsible thing to pull away, to not pursue you, to kind of like let the silence settle in between the two of you. Not because they were like putting you on the back burner for later, but this is almost somebody that has kept you very much at the forefront of their attention, as they have been like actively, diligently, regularly, kind of forcing themselves into some sort of emotional evolution. And this isn't somebody that was like emotionally immature, like, oh, you needed to grow up, but it's somebody that recognized in some sort of way they were haunted by past heartbreaks, and it created an energy of hesitation, second guessing, almost like a Seven of Cups energy, where there was afraid of like the situation being too good to be true. Not that you were too good to be true, but that they would turn out to be somebody that you would then see as a Seven of Cups. Like, oh, you're not what I'm looking for, you're not what I want. And rather than kind of just running away and thinking like, well, maybe this just means I need to find someone that I don't feel that way with, this person like likes you enough, and it feels like even would be like, I love you enough to do this within. To like, this is somebody that feels like that is again kind of at reaching a point of like, I want to fight for reconciliation. I want to fight my way back into your life. I want you to hear me out. I want you to see what it is that I've done, the work that I have done inside. So whatever it is that they've kind of been working on behind the scenes and in the silence, and it's bringing to mind almost somebody that they may still have your picture, like your picture on their desk, your picture on their phone, or they're thinking about you, like to keep you at the center of their mind's eye, is kind of like, and this may even be somebody that kind of like speaks to you internally, or they include you in their prayers. It's kind of like, I will come back for you, I will return for you, not just kind of like I'll skulk back with my tail between my legs, but I am going through a process, and I've been going through a process of evolving into a better version of me, because what you were bringing to the table when we were last in contact, it let me know that there were some things I needed to change about myself in order to match your frequency, match your vibration. And it feels like this person is doing more than just the bare minimum in that sense. They anticipate or figure that you have continued to evolve as a person, that whatever the confusion or the disappointment that has happened between the two of you in this period of silence, maybe you parted ways, kind of just, there wasn't anything that they necessarily need to apologize for. They kind of just like dropped off the radar. But still, there's a sense of almost like you certainly have probably metamorphosized into another version of yourself. This could even be somebody that is kind of like, they've watched, they've kept tabs, they've checked in. Maybe you're still on one another's social media, for example, and it's just like there hasn't been a whole lot of interaction, so they've seen in some way, even if you don't post a whole lot about it, like pictures that you put up, like I can see you're going through, or you've gone through like some kind of a glow up, you're looking good, it seems like you have a lot of good things going on. And so this is kind of like, this has been helping this person to kind of set their sights on almost like overachieving some degree of like emotional evolution, because they want, with this Knight of Cups, to come back in and kind of redeem themselves in your eyes, even though there may be a sense of, when this person, it feels like that they want to approach, they want to say something, And it might even be that you will be like, you didn't have to do any of that. Like, I liked you as you were. Like, I didn't see any kind of issue. There was, I thought things were going well. I don't know what happened. But then it feels like this is somebody that's like, I want to give you that full disclosure. These are the reasons that I held back. This is why I stepped away. This is kind of like the fear that I had, but this is the way that I've crushed that fear. So that you understand this isn't somebody that was just kind of like wandering around, sampling other potential relationships. That this is somebody that they turn their energy of desire internally. You brought an awareness to this person that yes, there was a lot of rich potential between the two of you, but it would require them maybe even kind of like breaking out of their comfort zone, somebody who could have been very used to like monotony and routine, and just the vibe, the intensity of the connection between the two of you in the past spoke to something where it's like evolution is possible in terms of what they've known of love before compared to like what could happen with you, in terms of how you were living your life, how you were kind of like even showing up in their life, and ways in which that might have been very confrontational to aspects of them that were kind of just operating on autopilot. So this has been somebody that has been kind of, getting themselves sort of up and working up into this experience or this motion of like embracing change, not waiting for tower moments, but initiating change within themselves, getting out of stuck and stagnant energy, reopening, like re-looking at or readdressing sort of wounds or shortcomings and fears from the past in order to kind of disempower that aspect of self within the shadow. Because this is somebody that feels like you deserve the realist version of them, but you also deserve somebody that's taken the time to like check in with self and say, can I honestly go the distance with another person that brings to the table the potential of like a high intensity, a high level love experience. And again, this is somebody that it feels like they've thought about you this whole time. They may have been doing a lot of introspection at periods of time, kind of like willingly doing that shadow work, or, confronting certain things within. But it's like every time they've resurfaced, every time they've kind of had some sort of progress, they think of you, or they think of you as kind of like their motivation, their incentive, like doing this work for themselves, but also doing it to be able to bring to you a more honest experience of love than what they felt for whatever reason they were capable of in the past, or something where it's kind of like, this is an offering that I can give you that shows you I'm a person like capable of change. So no matter what happens between the two of us in the future or around us in the future, I'm someone who can stick by you through thick and thin. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they're looking at or addressing right now. Okay, we have listening and truth. Okay, so it feels like this person at this time is like consciously holding themselves back because they're in the midst of like implementing some kind of change, or they've established some sort of change within themselves. They're kind of like polishing themselves up, fine-tuning, refining something within that involves kind of like going into past chapters, past experiences, confronting that hesitation that they felt in the past when everything was going well between the two of you on the surface, and they panicked. They all of a sudden felt, oh my gosh, like what if I'm not everything that you want? What if I fall in love with you and then you wake up one day and you're like, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know why I'm in a connection with you. This isn't what I thought it would be. Like some kind of fear in that sense that they're almost at first might have thought was like an irrational fear, but there's a part of them again that might be like looking into self-help, or maybe this could be somebody that like human psychology is like a special interest. It does that for some, like a very small percentage. This is somebody maybe that's study psychology in school and college, maybe they work as a therapist or psychologist. But for most people, this is just like an average person that doesn't have those degrees and those accolades, but, they're able to pick up a book and read about these things, or able to like open social media and see people from all walks of life posting about their experiences, sharing certain things. It's almost like this is somebody that's having like the DIY experience of self-help. They're not needing to go out and like, oh, get some therapy, but they're educating themselves in some sort of way. Ideas like inner child wounding, maybe even like narcissists that they dealt with in the past, experiences that have kind of like left a mark upon this person that in some sort of way triggered like a fear within, because what you were offering, the experience between the two of you as it existed at some point in time, was like, this feels really good, this feels really wonderful, but then their wound kind of like, or their shadow kind of like pulled on them, like, hey, if you keep taking steps forward, there's not going to be any emotional room for these kind of like embedded wounds and shadows, and this very kind of like unique or beautiful or wonderful experience that it's possible to co-create with this other person. And so this is somebody that had to kind of like go back in, listen to that, scratch beneath the surface. This is somebody, it feels like, that would not have defined themselves prior to the experience with you as somebody who self-sabotages, but they might have even come to some kind of awareness of like, oh wow, I do self-sabotage. Things have happened or something happened, and I am a version of myself that runs from beautiful things, that runs from my own blessings. And this is somebody that didn't just kind of like come to that awareness, or isn't kind of exploring that awareness, journeying through it as like, okay, I'm damaged, I'm unlovable, this sucks, and there's nothing good's ever going to happen. This is somebody that is like, no, F that, like, I'm going to confront this. This came from somewhere, so I can unmake it within myself. Some experience or series of experiences in the past whittled this part of me into what at one point in time had been almost like a very beautifully trusting and romantic individual. This person might consider himself to be very like sensitive, very emotional by nature. And so the fact that it's like the experience between the two of you in the past was really like good, it was really beautiful, they're not satisfied with the fact that they're taking like responsibility for like, no, this is my bad. I pulled away. I, disconnected. I ran off. I let silence settle between the two of us. There's been no contact for a period of time. But this is also somebody that has been like, they haven't even necessarily been running, but they've been like chasing down that wound within to disempower it, to gain information about its origin, to define it in some sort of way, so that it's not just playing puppet master to them, like in their life in general, and certainly as far as like a desire to reconnect with you is concerned. And it feels like the biggest challenge is listening to that impulse of like, I gotta fight this, I gotta figure this out, I've got to get a handle on this, I've got to define this, I got to put a leash on this, I got to put a muzzle on this, so I can come back towards you, not pretending to just gloss over everything that's happened, but so I can come back towards you as a more emotionally evolved version of myself. And that may be something that is kind of like an offering to you, this work that I've done within for myself, but also so that I can bring you a better experience. Maybe that will be the token of affection that lets you know I'm very serious about writing a better next chapter between the two of us, if that is something you are interested in doing. So let's take a look at this person's potential actions towards you. Okay, we have celebration, spiritual growth, and answered prayer. Yeah, so there's that confirmation with that energy of spiritual growth. Somebody who has been directly confronting their own wounds within. They're not turning away from things. They're looking very harshly at the reality of wounds within, trying to cultivate compassion for themselves, but also trying to kind of repair, fix, and change what they are able to do. And this is somebody, it feels like that at this point in time, they may be sort of in a place of, like with anything like like the healing journey, it's a spiral. Like we think that we've dealt with something and then we revisit it again from a different angle. There's so many different layers. It's like you start to peel back, from the surface, and it's just layer upon layer upon layer. So it feels like this person is like deep into that at this point in time. This may even be something that is like totally shifting their focus in general. Again, for some, or for a lot even, like human psychology may be a special interest. That might even be something that has developed as a special interest. They set out to kind of like, okay, how can I understand or kind of like fix something about myself? And it's given them a broader perspective as they're kind of like learning about different things, exploring different things, seeing like, okay, this fits with me, this matches with me. They're seeing then also like other people, other circumstances in their life, present and even past people, like, wow, okay, there's a definition for what I experienced, for what I went through, for what these people are, what they're doing to me or contributing to my life, or like what I went through in the past. It might be opening the door for this person to like have some self-forgiveness, have compassion for themselves. So it feels like this is someone that continues to go that distance, as far as like, I got to see this through to a place of, with healing, it's like it's never complete. Like we visit things and we revisit things, and it's like once you embark upon that journey, it's like a never-ending journey. But it's also, one of the surest pathways to like personal growth and development. As you start with self, take accountability, and then you're able to kind of create a different footprint in the experience of lives of others, or in the world around you. So it feels like it's something that this person definitely, again, with those, all three of those tarot cards in the thoughts and feelings section of this group being like court cards, that's something where it's like they're reaching this place of kind of like, okay, I think I've got to handle enough on whatever that kind of like aspect of self-sabotage was within. They've confronted their own demons or their own wounds or their own shadows enough. They've labeled them. They've learned their names. They've created kind of compromise with those aspects of self, or they put aspects of themselves in that capacity in a cage so that it can no longer kind of rear its ugly head and sort of show up and ruin beautiful experiences and beautiful moments. This person is like nearing the place of sort of like, okay, I think that I've created enough of like a different foundation, or like a step up from who I was and how I was operating when I was last in contact with you, that I don't need to just kind of sit and think about you anymore. I don't need to sit and kind of like, whisper these prayers from within. Like, I'm coming, I'm returning, I'm working on things. I'm trying to become a better version of myself for me and also for us. That this person is reaching that point of like wanting to reach out and contact you, wanting to, open those lines of communication again in a way that they are self-aware enough, or they've done enough kind of internal work to be able to like address things directly, something that may be like a welcome surprise to you, because this could be something that is very unlike other romantic partners you've dealt with, other people in your life. It feels like this is somebody that would definitely describe themselves at this point as like they've awakened to certain things. And now that they're awake, it's like they can't and they won't and they don't want to sort of shut their eyes to the reality of what they've discovered. You might be mirroring each other at this point in time, or you have been, in terms of that personal growth, evolution, self-discovery. It may look very different for the two of you based on, what you've dealt with in the past, but it feels like this person's been walking parallel to you in that capacity. This isn't somebody that just kind of like turned away and that's been that. It's like they've gone very deeply within, and they're getting ready, it feels like, to emerge as a version of themselves. It's ready to kind of take on the world around them in a different way. And with that is also this energy of like, I want to reconnect with you, to share with you everything that I've been doing since I've been away, to showcase to you who I have very consciously and methodically invested time, effort, energy, resources to become. Because this person, it feels like, is very confident that this has been kind of like the right move as far as securing kind of like the best odds, like the odds being in their favor. Of, even though there's probably disappointment, there's hurt, there's confusion, you've been in no contact with one another, that it's like they might be able to kind of like smooth that out or redeem themselves in some sort of way, because they're not coming back and kind of like selling you a sob story or making excuses. But this is somebody that's like, they've been taking accountability for themselves, and they almost kind of see that as sort of a rare gift that they can give to this connection. the potential of like a restart or the connection evolving in some sort of way, because they know most people don't go through this. Most people don't do this. Most people would rather just kind of point blame and run the other way, avoid oneself and one's own reflection at all costs. And so this person is like, no, I've looked at my own reflection. I'm looking at it. I'm shattering that illusion. I'm picking apart those pieces and I'm making something different of myself. And it's that difference that they are almost feeling will be something that will be very pleasing, very reassuring. It'll provide a lot of confirmations for you that even in the midst of separations, like you've been working in tandem with one another, like they kind of feel that even though there's been silence, it's like you've been working as a team all along in that kind of subtle realm, or even in that sort of internal underworld that they've gone into very consciously. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know right now. Okay, and we have, I feel safer in the silence. Yeah, so this is somebody that would probably define themselves as a work in progress at this particular point in time. They've been going through like a messy process of having to confront things. There have been nights where they just kind of break down in tears, messy crying, looking back at kind of old wounds, situations that they're now able to kind of see from a different angle. They're able to define things because they've done research. They've learned about themselves. They've confronted themselves. And in the process, they've been able to kind of attach labels to the nature of different people that they were dealing with, circumstances they were dealing with, experiences that they had that in the past, it was just kind of like, it was a wound. It was a hurt that didn't have a label. So it was just kind of like tucked in the space of otherness inside. We also have my heart is telling me to just do it. Yeah, again, this is somebody that's taking a lot of willpower at this time to hold back from reaching out to you, to stay the course of something where it might even be that it's like they've experienced these successive little breakthroughs. Certain things in their life aren't triggering anymore. Certain people in their life aren't as triggering. This might even be somebody who's established boundaries or cut different people out of their life. They sort of reshaped the nature of the influences, people, places, and things that have a role or like a dominant role in their life. And this is almost somebody that's kind of like, I need to let that dust settle. I need to let that paint dry. I need to let that glue harden in some sort of way, so that what I'm able to present to you isn't just a list of all the things I intend to do, but it's like, this is how I've reshaped myself. This is how I've been making change for myself in my life. We also have, I don't know how I feel anymore. So this is not really indicating that they don't know how they feel about you anymore. This is indicating that it's like this person started off on like a soul searching venture, kind of like looking at that question. Things are so beautiful between the two of us. Why did I pull back? Why did I run? Why did I start to feel like maybe I'm not everything that you're looking for? Why? And they've looked in that Seven of Cups energy. They've looked in each and every cup. And what they found has been truths about themselves that's like, almost kind of like, if I knew this about myself way back when, I could have had more compassion. I could have allowed myself to go in different directions with my life. Or I would have understood things and I didn't have certain setbacks. Again, other people, other circumstances in their life that they're able to define as something. I see who I am now and I see who other people are as well. And so that may be a tough pill to swallow. So again, this is somebody that's kind of like, they don't want to come back to you too soon with kind of like, okay, so the illusion has been shattered in many ways in my life. This is almost somebody that's like, yeah, the illusion has been shattered because I took a sledgehammer to that illusion, to that mirror, and I shattered it myself. And now I've walked through that space where once was kind of assumptions, ignorance, experiences that I didn't know how to deal with, and so I just kind of tucked them away. And this is somebody that's kind of like learning to sort of navigate that new reality, that lucidity, seeing things in themselves as they really are. And so this is something where, again, this is almost kind of like they need to sort of allow just a little more time to kind of pass in the midst of what might have been very like harsh truths, rude awakenings, aha moments that could have been very freeing, but at the same time very heartbreaking. And this person is like, I need to keep feeling these feelings in order to truly generate healing. I need to continue to confront that reflection every single day, no matter how much it hurts, until I'm numb to the echo of those wounds of yesterday. So this is somebody that wants to come back towards you, but this is also somebody that is in like the midst of kind of the final phases of some big process of like awakening, or like a deeper understanding of themselves than they had, or than they were operating as when you were last in contact with them. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We got M, G, F, C, I, Y, F, Q, S, J, P, and R. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the blue calcite. So let's start by taking a look at the person on your mind that you are in a no contact situation with. What are their thoughts and feelings about you right now? Okay, we have Judgment, Four of Cups, and the Two of Swords. Okay, so this person knows that they really screwed up as far as this connection is concerned. This is somebody that regrets things that were said. They're very embarrassed about certain things that they said about you to your face, or maybe even to other people that had asked this person, so what happened to you and so? What went wrong? I thought you were really into them. I thought that you were close. I thought that things were going really well. And it feels like this person kind of embellished things, went above and beyond, or painted themselves in some sort of way to be like a victim of circumstance, because it was easier than like accepting responsibility for whatever their role was in this situation that caused it to dissolve or fall apart. It's the idea of like it takes two to tango, and maybe that even on their part was kind of like they just were very quiet about like fears, insecurities, the intensity of the connection, how it was evolving, what was happening, what wasn't happening, and instead of kind of like having a conversation with you, it's like they kept that all bottled up inside. They projected onto you. They kind of like pointed the finger of blame. Like instead of saying, I feel really boxed in, it's like, oh, you were chasing me. You were putting pressure on me. Instead of like, I don't think that you're understanding kind of my need for space or distance, or that things are evolving too fast. It's kind of like you got unreasonable expectations. I feel very judged in your presence, like I'm not good enough. It's like this person sort of twisted things into a very negative perspective as far as this connection is concerned. And it feels like some of that might have kind of translated into sort of a parting message that they gave you, if they gave that. For some, that this energy of judgment, this is somebody that just ghosted. Just one day you found out that they blocked you, or they stopped like returning your calls, stopped returning your texts, like they just totally switched up in terms of the communication. And it feels like this is something that now they're in a place of almost like they're in a better headspace, or they've created this kind of like narrative around what had happened in the past, that it feels like they see within themselves like that was not taking the high road, that wasn't accurate. That was something where it almost feels like this person has had like this surge of kind of like, I miss you, I want you back, but I don't know how to repair this, I don't know how to clean this up between the two of you, like in terms of things that they said that they can't take back. But it almost feels like also with that Four of Cups, like I'm drawn to this idea of the Three of Cups here, like other people, other individuals that it feels like they vented about the situation to, they confided in, or again, people that might have been like, so what happened? I thought that you and this person were like talking, you were getting to know one another, you were hanging out, you were dating, like what happened? What fell apart? What went wrong? I thought that you looked really good together. You know, I thought things were going well. And it's kind of like the story that they spun for these people. It's kind of like it'd be one thing for them to try and backpedal or sort of, apologize or kind of clean things up between the two of you. But then there's the sense of like, there's other people that they've kind of like, they brought into the mix in some sort of way, or things that they told those people, it was like a dramatization, it was like an embellishment. For some it was like they just lied, they tried to make you out to be the villain in the circumstance, and it was really just, maybe a combination of things that you said or did, things that they said or did. Again, it's like this energy with this Two of Swords, like it takes two to tango in some sort of way. Like the communication was really rickety between the two of you in the past. It feels like because this person was like not making you aware of the truth of their feelings compared to like how they were presenting on the surface. This was somebody that was maybe presenting like everything's fine, everything's great, and then all of a sudden they switched up abruptly. And instead of just kind of like backing out of this situation, it's almost like they tried to cover their tracks in some sort of way, or were confronted about the situation by other people that knew about it. And instead of telling the truth, like, I don't know, I got scared, or, I just need some time to figure things out, it's like they told a lot more than they needed to, or the way in which they spoke about things. It's kind of like other people may have sort of like a weird impression of you or this circumstance. There might even be something where if that happened with this Judgment card, this could be something that you've been in like a long-term separation with this person. And there's kind of the sense of like, I miss you. That version of myself that I was not operating in integrity, or I regret what happened. But there's kind of a hesitation, like, can this be fixed? Has it been so much time that these other kind of like casual people, these casual observers, maybe they've kind of forgotten everything I've told them. Maybe their opinions don't really matter. Maybe even some of those people aren't a part of this person's life anymore. And so it's like, does that really matter? So this is somebody, it feels like that's wrestling with that kind of the truth coming out in this situation, truth that they need to deliver to you, ways in which they were very unfair, and how the connection ended, if they were the one that ended it. Feels like they called judgment on it. They were just like, that's it. That's a wrap. That's over. But there's a desire to like resurrect. There's a desire to kind of like try to move forward, but they feel very uncertain. Like, would you even hear them out at this point? Can they even clean any of this up? It feels like this is somebody that if there were other people they'd confided in or they vented to, that they would have to be like, yeah, so that was then and this is now. And I need you to look at this person or the situation with fresh eyes because that's what I'm doing. Then there's almost a sense of this person kind of considering like, can they eat humble pie in front of these people? Would these people, whoever they are, give this person pushback or like make you feel weird and awkward? Maybe because of things you did in this situation, but moreover, it feels like how this person kind of embellished or sort of pointed to the worst of experiences and failed to illuminate kind of like times are good and then things fell apart. Or we went through a rough patch. It's like they might have just painted this out. They might have like painted you to be a villain in some sort of way. And there's almost a sense of like, can that be smoothed out in some capacity? So it feels like this person is kind of like they've awakened to the reality that what they wanted in the situation in the past is not what they want in the situation now, but they're kind of confused. Like, how can I come back? How can we start over? This might even be somebody that is kind of like, I don't even know if I'd be your type anymore. I don't even know if you're single. I don't even know if you'd want to hear from me. I don't know if it would serve to provide closure or if it's possible to like rebuild, rebrand ourselves as like the couple that's trying again. The failure to launch or failure to thrive that is kind of having life breathed back into it. This is somebody that is fearful that you would always kind of sleep with one eye open with them. You would never fully trust them again because of the disappointment that happened, or even things that they might have even like confided about certain things or made certain things up about the situation to people that aren't even in their life anymore. And so it might be something where it's like you would never need to know about that, but they would know about it. And it's almost kind of like the guilt or the shame of that would serve as like a wedge or a barrier between the two of you. Even internal thoughts and projections that they'd had towards you. And sort of like, is that the kind of thing where you'd pick up on that, or I could never fully relax in your presence again because I'd feel the need to like bring that up or apologize for something that there'd be no reason to bring that up or apologize for. This kind of almost reminds me of the energy of somebody that might have just, they parted ways with you and then like went into a bar, started drinking, and kind of just gave a sob story to a stranger, somebody they like never see again. Something where it's like the next day they're like, yeah, I think I just kind of like went off about this situation, but I don't even know who that was to. That's not like somebody in their life anymore, but there might have been something like that. Or they vented a lot about this like online or something, not in ways that like people would see or people would be aware of, but just something where it's like they would know that they did that. They would know that they kind of like blasted you in that public sense in a very unfair way, or is coming from like a very hurt place with the intention to hurt or wound. Even if it was nothing that you ever read or ever saw, it's like they know that they did that. They know that there was a period of time where their hurt, their sorrow, or even just kind of like a low vibe within themselves, like a low place that they were at, an inability to like receive love or like whatever that looks like in the past, it created this like projective sort of energy that was nasty. It wasn't very nice. And so there's a sense of kind of like they left that behind a bit, or they're interested in leaving that aspect behind, that kind of like way to relate to you in the situation. They want to kind of like close the door to that, close that chapter. But there's an uncertainty of kind of like, would my own sort of internal guilt and shame about things you'd never need to find out about? The posts have been deleted if this was things they put on social media. Or again, it's almost kind of like maybe they vented to a stranger about this, or like a series of strangers. Like something that it's like, I'm never going to see that person again. I'm never going to run into that person again. You're never going to see that person. You will never know what was said or what happened, but I would know about it. Or there could even be with that Three of Cups, like people in their life, best friend, close family member, that they confided about the situation but made a lot of shit up, that didn't paint you out to be the best person, like made you the villain. That it's kind of like, okay, maybe these people might even know this person's predisposition to do that. They wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be like, what do you mean? I thought you said that they were horrible. I thought you said that was the worst person ever, and now you're saying that you're back on with them. It's almost like they kind of feel that perhaps even these people would be like, yeah, that's not surprising. You tend to overreact. Your dark side is very unpleasant. Like it might even not even take that much to kind of like convince those people, hey, that was just like a weird experience. That was a bad chapter. I wasn't operating in honesty and integrity. And there might even be something where these people would just embrace you, or like a reconnection with open arms, because they know how this person is or how they can get. When they're hurt, when they're wounded, they lash out. So it wouldn't be anything that would weigh very heavily as far as like you being the bad guy forever in this narrative. But then there could also be people that are just sort of like, they take this person at face value, and to reconnect with you would mean they'd have to eat humble pie. Might change the way other people think or view them. if they remember at all. Because if this is like a long-term no contact situation, then it might even be like that is so far in the past that, you know, people have short attention spans, and that outburst, that, you know, vent sesh, that experience of kind of just woundedness acting out, or catharsis, like it doesn't matter. It's not memorable. Like those other people have other things going on in their life, and it would just not, the dots wouldn't connect for them. They're not still thinking about that. They don't still remember that episode, that experience. But there's still a hesitation within this person of kind of like, could you ever forgive me? Or is it the kind of thing where I could come towards you and not sort of bring the baggage of like a guilty conscience with me? So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they're dealing with right now. Okay, so we've got angels and masters and relationships. Yeah, so this person is uncertain if the seeds of love that existed between the two of you in the past, if that have gone dormant. Again, for a lot of you, this is like long-term, no contact situation. Like, are those seeds still viable? Can we still connect? Can we still attract one another? Or have good experiences like we did at one point in time? Or have we grown in different directions? Is it possible to reconnect and move forward? Or is it something where it kind of would just be that final moment of closure, and that it's better to kind of just chalk this up as a loss in some kind of way? This person almost feels that whatever has happened in the past, it's sort of like they know that they need to do right by you, or there would be some kind of like karmic consequence or repercussion. Like, even if this person doesn't really believe in karma or, you know, like angels or spirit guides or anything, there's just sort of an instinct that they have that either you would have like very little patience for this person. Like, you got one chance and that's it. And you come in and you're on thin ice. So you better make it good. You better make it fast. You better make it real, or just like don't come back at all. Or there's a sense with this person of kind of like they can perceive on some sort of level. For some, they are able to define that. And like, yeah, your ancestors, your spirit guides, your angels, I don't think they like me very much. And I don't think that they would tolerate me breaking your heart a second time, or a third time, or fourth time, or like whatever this looks like. And so this is somebody that's almost like they feel that they need to proceed with caution. It's got to be some level of rigorous honesty, a change in how they had approached in the past, or there's a sense of almost like your spirit team kind of like swatting them away. And not just kind of like back off, but in some sort of way that there would be kind of like the righteous anger of the divine, or of the subtle realms, or the liminal spaces activated, focused on this person. If they came back in and like messed you around again. So this is somebody, it feels like that they're thinking long and hard about sort of like, is this going to make matters worse for myself or for you if I try to come back in and fix things, or see if we can work through things, or if there's some way to move beyond what has happened in the past. But there's also this kind of like looming weight, or this recognition of sort of like, you're either like very protective of yourself, you've had to establish boundaries or discernment in some sort of way that maybe this person's kind of like aware of. They could have been keeping tabs on you, but it feels like mostly it's something just energetically speaking, like your energy has changed. Your energy has become more strong or more guarded than it was in the past. And so there may be a lot of guilt that they have. They know that they have created wounding inside of you that has turned you from just like an open and trusting person, at least as far as they're concerned, into somebody that's like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, and you better have actions to prove that what you're saying is true, or I have no time for you at all. Like, you don't have the problem slamming the door in this person's face. And you may have already done that in some sort of way. And so this is somebody, again, that kind of, they're aware that they got to move cautiously towards you. It's like one chance, one opportunity to kind of salvage this. So let's take a look at their potential actions towards you. Okay, so we've got enchantment, music, and surrender and release. So it feels like for the immediate future, this person's just going to like surrender to the music. They're going to release the idea that it's possible for them to, or rather they face the music and they surrender and release the idea that it's possible at this time, because they got a lot of fear as far as this connection is concerned. Fear about you finding certain things out, fear about them kind of like messing up, breaking your heart, bringing chaos and confusion to disrupt the peace that they feel or that they see you've created for them, for yourself after this experience with them, what they put you through, or just kind of like at this point in your life, they kind of feel or sense like you're in a more empowered energy than you were in before. You've made changes for yourself. You're like a different person than who they remember, as are they. And so it feels like for the immediate moment, this is somebody that almost recognizes, like, if there's a chance to kind of redeem myself or to have some sort of different experience, I can't bring all this fear to the table. I can't bring that internal guilt to the table. I can't bring like a half offer. It's got to be something real, or it's like come correct or don't come at all. And so it feels like something that energy of fear kind of, it holds them back for the time being. But with this idea of enchantment, it's kind of like any ways in which that's discouraging to you, the idea of this person sort of holding back on communication, that's just an illusion. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, because it feels like this person needs to go through some kind of process, like with that judgment card. Maybe for some, this is kind of like you were the blessing that they fumbled, and they need to kind of just live with the reality of what that means while you go off and experience love with someone that wouldn't put you through these things, wouldn't behave in this way, that you wouldn't have this kind of experience with. Or the fear that you're going to like move on and find someone else, it may cause, or someone else finds you, that it may cause this person to kind of like live within the midst of a tower moment, that energy of a reckoning. And that could motivate this person to get very serious about sort of like what was said, what was done. Does any of that matter now? Not like, oh, it shouldn't matter to you, but like, is there anything that they need to like seriously take into consideration? Like, I'm gonna have to clean this up with other people. I'm gonna have to work to make sure that other people understand that I was operating from a place of woundedness, darkness, low vibration, the things I said about you, the lies I made up, the embellishments, the picture that I painted of like who did what, he said, she said, or whatever, like in this situation, that it was not accurate. That this person may need to prepare themselves to kind of like face that judgment or that questioning from other people. If there are people close to them that would be like, whoa, what do you mean? You're talking to that person again. I thought you said X, Y, and Z. I thought you said this and that about that person. And that this individual would have to then sort of fight for your honor. They'd have to clear up those untruths or those distortions that they created in the perception of other people. And so that may be a process that it's like they either reach a place of like, yeah, I can do that. I'm willing to face that fire because I want another chance, because I see the error of my ways, whatever that looks like. Or it's a type of circumstance where it's like, yeah, no, they can't bring themselves to do that. And so the connection is like concluded for this lifetime. But it feels like either way, this is something where this isn't a person that's going to like progress towards you immediately. They're going to stick to the shadows for the most part. It feels like this is somebody that's going to continue to maintain that silence. But there is definitely a sense of they know that they messed up in this situation. And they might even like be aware that changes that you've made, ways in which you've kind of evolved beyond the person that you were when they were dealing with you in the past. The reality of you now doesn't match up with whatever picture they painted of you to other people in the past. Even if you were both in like a weird place, or, you know, like a low place in your lives, you brought out the worst in one another, like whatever that looks like you're not that same person. The reality of you does not fit into what, from a very reactive or hurt people kind of place, what they'd try to say about you. It's like anybody would see you or have even just a short interaction with you today, like now, and be like, that doesn't add up. This is not that person. And that might even be something that it's kind of like this individual has to kind of embrace that reality. Yeah, you've changed. Maybe if there were things that it's like they just shared very private experiences between the two of you, just pointed out the worst, like you're not that person anymore. And so that may also, again, require them getting comfortable with like introducing the reality of that evolution to people that just had like one very kind of like limited or distorted or like a biased view of you, not through their own observations, but through things that this person like said. That's that idea of like face the music, surrender to that, to the reality that it's like, if there's a chance to sort of clear this up, clean this up, have some sort of progress forward, you're not the one that has to beg forgiveness or do any kind of heavy lifting. It's this person that on their side of the equation needs to kind of figure out, do I have what it takes to not only get back in your good graces, but in some sort of way stand by the reality that what I said in the past after we parted ways, it wasn't kind, it wasn't right, it wasn't accurate in a lot of cases. It wasn't nice, it wasn't like the, you know, right thing to do. In instances where that needs to be kind of cleared up in some sort of way, to go about that process or be willing to kind of stand strong with their choice to be with you, even at the expense of other people that might not understand it or agree with it. To understand that it's like, to come back towards you doesn't mean bringing you into circumstance where other people are going to get pushback or be judgy about you based on what this person is like shared or said. So it feels like this person has like a longer road ahead of them as far as like, is this situation beyond the point of repair, or is this a circumstance that they themselves have the capability to put in a lot of work out in the open and behind the scenes in order to be able to kind of turn the impression that kind of lingers around whatever the past experiences were compared to what they want in the future with you into like a better or more positive direction. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know right now. Okay, and we have, I'm trying to think of what I want to say to you. Yeah, so again, this person is like, they're almost thinking like, why did I say that? Why did I say whatever that was, or that series of things to you or to other people? Why did I go about the parting of the ways with you in the way in which I did? Why did I say or not say certain things that led to the dissolution of the connection in the past? Like, they're thinking about the past a lot. And this is somebody that isn't like in the energy of nostalgia and like, oh, it was such beautiful times, let's recapture that. This is somebody that's like, they've had that nostalgia and like, oh, I miss you, I want to try again, I want to do something different. That has been motivated for a variety of reasons. Maybe they heard about you from someone, maybe they, you know, came across your profile on social media, maybe this is something that, you know, you came through in a dream or a download, or just like this person awakened in some sort of way, like, whoa, that was shitty what happened, what I did, what I put this person through. It could be any number of things. But they're focusing on kind of like things they said, things they did, that it's like, okay, now I got to clean that up in some way. I got to clean that up with you or up with other people. And they're like, I don't know how to go about doing that. We also have, I can still feel you. Yeah, so despite the silence, even like a long-term no contact situation, this person still like, it feels like they've been dreaming about you recently. maybe more regularly. This can definitely indicate something within like your energy or your life. You've created closure from this, or you're at the brink of that. Maybe you've met someone new, or you're about to meet someone new, somebody that will offer you like a different experience in romance than what this person put you through. And they might almost feel that like you've closed out from the version of yourself or the timeline where these things happened, or the timeline where it was like then you needed to heal from these things or move on beyond these things, or like create closure for yourself from this experience with this person. Like they have felt you detaching in some sort of way, and it's kind of like, wait, don't go, don't leave me. And that could be that aha moment, that awakening for them on an energetic level, that now it's kind of like that judgment, that energy of like a reckoning. Like they can't in their mind just sort of like reach out and like, hey, wait a minute, because there's all these other kind of things that took place. Some of the things you know about, it feels like a lot that you don't know about, as far as like what they said, projections that were made, very unfair, a very like unfair stance that they took in the situation, where they kind of painted themselves to be a victim. They didn't take responsibility. They blamed you for the bulk of what caused this connection to fall apart or erode in some sort of way. And there's a sense of kind of like, will take more than an I'm sorry, especially if other people were involved, where it's like those people need explanations, or maybe that's not even possible. And so it feels like this person's almost like feeling the full weight of that kind of like guilt, like I didn't make the right choice here. We also have, would you give me a chance to make things right between the two of us? So aside from that energy of like other people, or, you know, whatever was said or done, there's like, I don't even know if you would hear me out. I don't know if I put you through so much that you just like, you cringe at the idea of ever seeing me again or hearing me again, from me again. You know, this is something where they don't know if your heart is open to reconciliation, if it's even possible to repair, if they came back towards you with like something, if it would just be the kind of thing that would be like closure for you, if you've already sort of moved on in another direction, or you've set your intention to like manifest in a different sort of experience in love with a person that again wouldn't put you through this kind of thing, or wouldn't behave in this sort of way after you broke up or you parted ways with one another. So this person is definitely like thinking about like, is this even salvageable? Is this something that can be repaired? Can I redeem myself? Or is this kind of just the burden that I carry now, the karma that I must live within, is kind of like knowing what I had or could have had now that it's gone. So let's get some initials. Could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just ever resonates for you. We got Q, Y, Z, W, T, B, E, E, G, and R. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.